This is what happened when I took a jar of leftover pickle juice, the cloudy brine most of us pour straight down the drain, and turned it into a real, plant-feeding liquid fertilizer in just 5 days. I ran the whole thing in my own backyard, on real plants, and I'm going to walk you through exactly what worked, what to avoid, and why that leftover jar deserves a second look before it hits the trash. No fluff, no complicated equipment, just a simple process any home gardener can follow. By the end, you'll know whether this trick belongs in your garden or in the garbage. If you've been throwing that jar away, you've been throwing away a free resource. That changes today. So why would anyone feed their plants pickle juice in the first place? Once you understand what's actually floating in that jar, it starts to make sense. Pickle brine is mostly water, vinegar, salt, and a handful of spices like dill, garlic, and peppercorns, and a few of those ingredients carry trace minerals and mild acidity that certain plants genuinely appreciate. Think of it as a concentrated liquid that's far too strong to use as is, but surprisingly useful once you tame it. The vinegar lowers pH, which acid-loving plants respond to, and the spices bring a little something extra to the table. Once you look at it that way, the jar you've been rinsing out and tossing starts to look a lot more valuable. The science behind it is simple, and once you understand it, you'll start seeing similar potential in other kitchen leftovers too. Now here's the part nobody tells you, and it's the most important thing in this whole video. Straight pickle juice will hurt your plants if you pour it directly onto the soil, because the salt and vinegar levels are simply too high for roots and soil microbes to handle. I learned this the careful way, by testing small before I ever committed a full bed to the experiment. The salt can dehydrate roots, and the raw acidity can shock the tiny living organisms that make your soil healthy in the first place. So the entire 5-day process you're about to see exists for one reason: to soften that brine into something safe and genuinely beneficial. Get the dilution right first, and everything else in this process becomes straightforward. Most people who try kitchen scrap feeding and get poor results skipped exactly this step. Before we get into the day-by-day process, do me a quick favor. If you're finding this useful so far, tap that like button and subscribe to the channel, because it genuinely helps me keep making these simple, no-nonsense gardening experiments for folks like us. It costs you nothing, and it means the world on my end. Alright, let's get into the 5-day method. Now let's walk through each day step by step so you can follow along at home. The whole process is easier than you think, and you probably already have everything you need sitting in your kitchen right now. Day 1 is all about straining and diluting, and it's the foundation for everything that follows. I poured the leftover pickle juice through a simple kitchen strainer into a clean bucket to catch the dill, garlic, and any floating bits. Then I added 10 parts plain water to 1 part brine, because heavy dilution is what turns a harsh liquid into a gentle one. That ratio brings the salt and acidity down to a level your plants can actually tolerate. Give it a good stir, and you've already done the hardest part. 10 parts water to 1 part brine is the number to remember. Write it on the side of your bucket if you need to. Starting with the right ratio means you won't have to worry about any of the salt or acidity issues that catch most people out. Days 2 and 3 are the easiest, because your only job is patience. I set the covered bucket in a shaded corner and simply let the mixture rest, which allows the sharp vinegar smell to mellow and off-gas over time. During these 2 days, the harsh edge of the acidity softens considerably, and the liquid becomes far kinder to soil life. I gave it a gentle stir once each day to keep everything moving. This resting window is quietly doing the work that protects your plants later on. Skipping this resting window and applying too soon is the single most common mistake I see with any kitchen scrap fertilizer. 2 days of rest cost you nothing and protects everything you've already put into the process. Day 4 is where this brine goes from merely safe to genuinely valuable. I stirred in 1 tablespoon of unsulfured molasses per gallon of diluted mixture, because molasses feeds the beneficial microbes that bring soil to life. Think of it as handing those tiny organisms a plate of food so they multiply and get to work. Within hours, you'll often see a faint foam forming on top, which is a good sign that biological activity is kicking in. This single step is what transforms the leftover jar into something that actually improves your soil rather than just sitting in it. 1 tablespoon per gallon is the amount, and it's worth keeping a jar of molasses in your potting shed just for this purpose. It's a small addition that makes a big difference to what your soil actually gets out of this entire 5-day process. Day 5 is payoff day, when the finished liquid finally goes to work in the garden. I poured the mixture into a watering can and applied it to the base of acid-loving plants like tomatoes, blueberries, and peppers, keeping it off the leaves entirely. A light soak around the root zone is all you need, because more is never better with any homemade feed. I always water a little around each plant with plain water first, so the roots are never hit by concentrated liquid on dry soil. Then I stepped back and let nature take over. That 5-minute watering routine is the entire application. Keep it simple, and your plants will do the rest. It's a gentle, respectful approach that treats your soil as a living system rather than just a growing medium. So what actually happened after all this? Over the following week and a half, the treated tomatoes and peppers showed noticeably greener, perkier foliage compared to the untreated ones I left as a control. The soil around the treated plants also felt livelier and held moisture a touch better, which tells me those microbes were doing their job. I want to be honest with you, this isn't a miracle cure, and it won't replace good compost. But as a way to squeeze value out of something you'd normally throw away, it earned its place in my routine. For a completely free input that took less than 10 minutes of active work over 5 days, that's a result worth repeating every season. If you keep a simple journal of what you apply and when, you'll start to see patterns that make every future experiment more useful. Here's exactly how I'd use this going forward, so you get the reward without the risk. Save it for acid-loving plants and always stick to that heavy 10-to-1 dilution, because that's your safety margin. Avoid using it on seedlings, on salt-sensitive plants, or anywhere you've applied it in the last month, since even a gentle feed becomes too much when it's stacked too often. Treat it as an occasional supplement, not a weekly staple. Used with a little common sense, that leftover jar becomes a small, free bonus for your garden. Think of it as a free seasonal bonus rather than a weekly staple, and it will serve your garden well without any risk. That kind of disciplined, low-frequency approach is what separates gardeners who get consistent results from those who blame the method. So there it is, 5 simple days that turned a jar of leftover pickle juice into a genuine liquid feed for my acid-loving plants. Like I promised at the start, it's not about complicated equipment or expensive products. It's about looking at something headed for the trash and asking whether it can do a little more first. The real takeaway is that a heavy dilution, a few days of rest, and a spoonful of molasses can tame almost any strong kitchen liquid into something your garden can use. That's the kind of smart, simple gardening that saves you money and keeps waste out of the bin. That's the kind of win that adds up quietly over a whole growing season without costing you a single dollar. Every jar, every peel, and every leftover you redirect into the garden is a small vote for a healthier, more self-sufficient way of growing food. If you got something out of this one, I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit that like button, subscribe for more simple backyard experiments, and drop me a comment down below. I see them all. Tell me this. What's the strangest kitchen leftover you've ever tried in your garden, and did it actually work? Your stories help other gardeners here, and honestly, they give me my next ideas. I'll see you in the next one. I'll be back next time with another simple experiment straight from the backyard. Talk to you soon. Until then, keep experimenting, keep observing, and keep growing on your own terms.